All right, guys, good to see you all. We're talking about buying versus renting, why your buyer should buy. Lots of good reasons. Let's talk about a couple of things that's going on in the media, right? So keep in mind, your buyers are paying attention to the media, and they're not really paying attention to our industry. So you got a lot of people that are in the media that are going to give them messages, and that may be all they ever hear about what we're doing and things about our industry, right? I do still talk to people every once in a while. They tell me that, oh, all I need is 3.5% down to buy a house. I thought I needed 20% down. When I asked more than one of them where they heard that from, they said that one of their local banks told them. And what they were doing a couple of months ago is that, when COVID hit, these banks still want to do mortgages, and so they tell them that they're only doing 20% down. And so that's what they figure. They figure because they saw that one marketing piece that's all they can ever use is 20% down to buy a house. But we here know that that's totally not the case, right? So here's this lady here, Diana Olick. She is on CNBC, and she tells us over here, that fast rising home prices will finally hit a wall, right? Has that what happened in the last year or two? And she's talking about this like here in 2016 because it went from 6.7 up to 7%. She's predicting that the annual gains are gonna only gonna be decreasing, and this was not the case at all. We've got explosive growth going on, right? We've got just here in Central Florida, what is it, 5.5% appreciation. Nationally, it's at 7%. Some markets are even at 10, 11%, like Arizona and Phoenix and Seattle and stuff. So we want to watch what we're seeing in the media, because these are the messages our buyers hear. Here's this lady in an up market. She is telling people that she's telling people to not put your money in a house, right? Because rising prices, potentially increasing mortgage rates could hamper the whole investment, right? Well, that's kind of the point, is to buy while, before the price of the home goes up, to purchase in an up market, or right before one, right? So renting may be a better option than buying, according to this lady here, right? So owning a home can be a budget bulldozer, according to people here at CNBC. Here's how much more it costs to own a home. And it's better, how much it is to own versus rent in every state. Sources from NerdWallet and CNBC here. You guys know this guy, Grant Cardone? He's on, he's all over the internet talking about, all these things about how he invests in real estate. And he says, unless you have 20 million bucks, then you have no business buying a house. And so I don't know how many of the buyers that you guys are going to work with that are going to be able to accumulate 20 million bucks before they actually buy a house, but I surely don't want them receiving this kind of advice, and because Grant Cardone says, because you can't move, you don't ever truly own it, is what he says, and you have to spend to keep it. So I don't know if Grant Cardone is aware of it, that the national days on market right now have just gone from 22 days to 21 days. So that means if they put their house on the market, they could have an offer and be under contract in 21 days, as a national average. That's a very easy market to sell a house in, right? So I'm not really sure what he's talking about here, but these are messages that these media companies are talking about. He calls the buying a house the American nightmare here. It's not an asset. It can be a trap. So, okay, hang on one second. I have a dog that's trying to get in, so I'm working from home. 2 seconds. Sorry about that. So, should they buy or should they rent? And can we quantify which is better? So let's just say that the average rent in a marketplace is $2,500 a month. And let's say they're just getting a discount and they're getting it for $2,100 a month. Now, let's also look at a couple of other metrics. That the home prices are $350,000 on this example we're going to use, and the taxes are $5,000. Mortgage rate, we're going to go with 4.5%. They're lower than that right now, but we need to at least have some numbers in here to to have something to be able to move forward with, right? Okay. This is from a report that I'm able to pull. I can pull this in any market, and I can pull this for any house that you have. So let's just say the monthly rent is $2,100. Let's say they're actually buying renter's insurance of $34 a month. Not all of them do, but let's just say they are, right? And now that their annual rent increase in Orange County, I'm just pulling this from a site where the average rent increase is 3.1%. And so it's actually flattened out since I built this. If you watched my video this morning, you probably saw why. But we've had, a lot of really explosive rent growth in Orlando in the last couple of years. Multifamily's gone crazy here, right? Because, Orlando's a destination location. So, and we're going to compare renting versus buying a house for $350,000. Property taxes are going to be $5,000. Monthly home insurance is $102. Property tax increases with 2% a year. We're going to put $145 to repair an HOA, and it costs 6% to sell the house, right, with a realtor. We're going to put all this in there, the total cost of owning the home. So the loan on $350,000, we'll just say, is $315,000. It'll be a 30-year conventional fixed rate. And I guess we did 3.5 instead of 4.5 on the last slide. Forgive me here. So we do have to add monthly. We have to add mortgage insurance, and there's our $7,000 for closing costs. And although in a lot of markets people hold the houses between 5 and 7 years, we're going to say that they're going to hold the house for 9 years, right? And this is Florida and Orange County. And we're going to go with a historical appreciation average of 4%. Forecasted is a little higher, it's 4.3%. Actually, I've seen others that say it's 5% appreciation or 5.5% estimated in the next couple of years. Next couple of years, they're saying 20 to 22% appreciation in Central Florida, right? And we've got a little tax rate here, and they're filing jointly. And we're not going to focus too much on this, but okay. Does anybody have any questions on this slide? There's a lot of numbers there. I know this is a busy slide here, a little busier than I would want it to be. You guys have any questions on this slide so far? You can type in the chat box, or you can just unmute yourself and talk if you want. Okay. So let's look at some of the calculations of buying versus renting here, right? So we know, one of the things we do know is that their principal and interest are going to stay the same. Now, their taxes and their insurance are going to increase over time, but their principal and interest payments are going to be flat, right? And this is what they're renting in year one, right? Their rent price is $2,100, and on that mortgage, that was a $1,400 plus here. So we're really at, for the first year, about $2,134 to rent and almost $2,200 to buy, right? If they're buying. So what happens here is over time, these numbers to own are staying flat, but the rent prices are going to go up, because one of the things we know about multifamily buildings is they've got an IRR schedule and they've got a fiduciary obligation to their, if they're in a REIT or something, to earn money. So they have to increase the value of the property, and they do that by increasing the rents over a period of time. And, they build here and then they sell here. And then, the properties, they're flat on their investment somewhere through here. And they make a really nice profit when they sell that multifamily building, right? A lot of REITs have these, 3, 5, 7-year plans of where they're going to own, and then they got to move on from there. If they're renting from an owner of a house, also frequently they're going to have to raise the rent because they know their taxes and insurance are going to increase. Their expenses are going to increase. Every once in a while, they got to, here they got to flip a roof, or here they got to, put in a new AC unit, and they got to compensate for that. And so what happens here is, with this 3.1% rental increase, their monthly payments are going to go up. Their monthly payment's going to be $2,500, $2,600, $2,700 by the time they're in year 9. But they're still only paying $2,200 in a mortgage payment at that point, right? So when just the difference in these two numbers is $20,000 just in the amount of money they've spent on their rent. okay? But we haven't taken into consideration two really important features here, specifically the appreciation. So if we calculate that over the next 9 years, there's a 4.31% appreciation in Orange County. That $350,000 house that they bought in 2020 is going to be worth $511,000 in the year that they sell the house, right? So now, if it were only just that, that would be pretty good. But we're just on the tip of the iceberg here still. Because what has happened here is through their amortization gain, what happens is every time they make their mortgage payment of $21.99, they are slowly paying down the principal on the house, on the mortgage. And they're slowly paying it down every month. This is like what we would call a forced savings account, where they're taking money and instead of spending it on rent, where all of this entire amount of money go toward to a rent payment, this one is going to go partially to interest and partially to these, tax and insurance, but some of it's going toward principal. And the longer they own the home, the more principal they're actually paying down. So over those 9 years, they will have paid down $62,000 in principal, and now they have a house that's worth $511,000, and they only owe $252,000 on it. You guys have any questions on this slide either? Because this is kind of a lot also. There's a lot of numbers here. We're going to get to what this all adds up to on the next slide. Hang on 1 second for me here. Okay. So let's look at a few other numbers here. The cost to sell is going to be $30,000 at the 6% of the $511,000. I'm not going to play around too much in this tax world, just because everybody claims their taxes in a different way, and this is a person-to-person difference. But the net gain for buying that home is going to be $206,000 in that 9th year, right? So even when they have, this is subtracting for the cost to sell the property with their rent, real estate commission, and their closing costs, and the difference between all of this, including their amortization gain and appreciation gain, ends up being about $206,000. So keep in mind, I can make all of these, anything that looks like this or this. I can make all of these figures for you. I copy and pasted these out of this, but I have a calculator where I can generate all of the graphic design for any house that you think your buyer is not sure about purchasing, right? So, and we can put in all of these figures. You can put in how much they're actually paying in rent. We could just say, how much are you paying in rent? Oh, paying this much. Are you paying renter's insurance? No, but we can get an idea of what the rent increases are. And then we could just fill in all of the other numbers for, everything else is basically pretty easy, because we could say, well, how much of a house are you thinking about buying? And if you were to buy that house in this type of a market with this kind of appreciation, this is how much you would save. And this is how much you would spend, because, over this time, they're going to spend a lot more money. They're going to spend a lot more money on rent than they are on their mortgage payment, right? And we want them to know these numbers because it's really important for them to understand where their money is going. And at the end of 9 years, they walk away with nothing. They don't even come away with a red cent at that point. But when they own, they'll come away with $206,000, right? So something to take into consideration. Maybe they had to replace an AC unit in here. Maybe they had to replace a roof in here. Maybe that they'll take that out of pocket, or they want to make some other upgrades to the house that even increase the value of this $511,000. It's possible. Don't get me wrong. If they put a pool in, it'll sell for, I don't know, $525 or $520 instead of that, $511. They're not going to get back all that money that they took for them to put in the pool, but they'll get something back for it. Let's say they refinanced here and then increased the square footage of the property, and then now they can get an even higher dollar per square foot or higher amount just on the house because they have more square footage. That's a possibility too. There's more than one way to skin a cat to increase the value of a home. You guys know all this. You guys got a lot of training on this, right? So, okay, I'm going to shift gears in a second. So does anybody have any questions on what we just talked about. I know it's a lot of numbers running all over the place. You can, again, you can unmute yourself and just ask a question if you want. Okay. So, okay. I might do tomorrow's morning video, including this year's too. I just need to see how I can get that to fit. So there's a lot of numbers here. Don't pay any attention to any of this so far. We're going to go over all of this, and don't go ahead of me. It might just be easier. So let's talk about the difference of purchasing in an up market versus, like, let's say if you would have purchased this year in the fourth quarter of 2020 versus 2019, and how the changes in the marketplace make a big difference, right? So what we're doing here is we're going by the national average of appreciation is 7% right now. It's a lot. Don't get me wrong. This is a lot, but this is not median sales price. Remember, there's a big difference between the appreciation in the marketplace and median sales price, because we're going to talk about the affordability problem that you hear in the media. The media is talking a lot about how this market for housing has become unaffordable because the median sales price is up 15%. And we're going to show you right now how this is actually a more affordable market now than it was beforehand. Okay, so it's up to us to have the narrative so the buyers don't go to CNBC, because we know they're going to get wrong information at that point, right? Many times. So let's say here, we've got 7% appreciation over 1 year in many markets. We can adjust all these numbers for our market too. But it would have been $327,000 that they bought for a house that's now worth $350,000. That's an increase of $22,900. Okay. Now, one of the benefits is that the rate was about 3.75 last year, which is now about 2.75. Now, don't quote me on these rates, because it's, you guys know at this point that rate is different person to person. But we're going to go with this because, again, we have to have numbers. That decrease has really helped, because that's a decrease in a 1% in the interest rate. Now, let's say that the loan amount is going to increase because if they bought here, it would have increased because the purchase price has increased. But let's say we go with a 90% LTV, which you guys know this means a 10% down payment. There would have been a $294 loan amount versus a $315, an increase of $20,000. But because of the decrease in interest rate here, hold on, still a few more people joining us. Because of the decrease in the interest rate, their monthly payment has actually decreased. Okay, I want you to really understand this here. They're purchasing last year $327 versus $350, and because of the interest rate, their monthly payment went from $1,363 to $1,287. That actually decreased for $77. Okay, this is a big difference. Now they're buying they're buying a more expensive house for a lower monthly payment. So moving on from there will have an increase in the mortgage insurance because you have an increased loan amount, but it's an increase of $8, and it's a wash at that point, right? Their total monthly payment for $1,476, and remember, we're doing this on principal and interest. This is a PI payment because their taxes and their insurance are going to go up every year, and it changes year to year. But these are basically flat payments, right? So their total payment last year would have been $1,476 versus $1,407. And a decrease in $69, including the mortgage insurance increase, right? So their down payment is going to hurt a little bit more, but it's $32,710 versus the $35,000. Down payment is up because loan amount is up, right? These numbers are up, but it's an increase of $2,200. But remember, one of the really important things to keep track of, if you've been watching my morning videos, is that the income has increased. Their weekly wages have increased 5.9%. So that means if they were making $5,000 last year, they're now making $5,295 this year on a weekly basis. And these are monthly numbers because their weekly wages have increased. That's an increase of $295 per month. So with all of this in consideration here, you can see that with the decrease in interest rate, the buyers actually paying less per month than they would be if they would have bought in last year's market. So I want you guys to continue to ignore all of the unaffordability jargon if you come across this, because I know it's out there. It's definitely out there. And if your buyer is paying attention to any like financial media, they're going to hear this. Okay. You guys have any questions on this slide here? By the way, guys, you guys can have a copy of this. I'm happy to give you a PDF copy of this whole thing. So you don't need to take screenshots. You can take notes if you want, of course, but I'm happy to give you a copy of this. All you have to do is just email me your, I'm going to put my email in here. So my email's in the chat. Just email me and I'll reply to you. If you're watching this and you're recording this, forgive me, there's supposed to be a .com on the end of this here, so that's my mistake. But here is my email. Feel free to email me, and I am happy to send you out a copy of this presentation. Does anybody have any questions in here? Because we're gonna pivot again. We're gonna change directions again. Looks like somebody's having a challenge joining the group. I'm not sure why, but again, guys, you can unmute yourself if you want, or you can just type in the chat, whatever you're comfortable with. Okay, guys. So moving on. 1 second. What time do we have? Okay. So who needs to know this? A lot of people need to know this for sure. Let's talk about millennials for a few minutes. Millennials are a huge demographic, and millennials are really smart. A lot of them, they're reading a lot, they're paying attention, they know how to get information. Information's so much more easily accessible than it was years ago. And so let's look at some of these things, right? Inventory year over year is down 28%, month over month, 3% from when I made this, right? But if you notice here, sorry, my cursor is not behaving well for me here. So the millennials 27 to 35, this is the biggest demographic that we have at this point, right? There's more of them than anybody else. There was a huge birth spike years ago, and so millennials are huge, right? Something else to take into consideration, millennials are 30% of Orange County. So out of the 1.34 million people of total population in Orange County, 651,000 are renters, and of this 1.34 million, 164,000 are renters who can afford to purchase. Okay, that's 12% of the marketplace. 12% of the marketplace are renting and they can afford to purchase. Okay, if you guys have been taking my Facebook ads class, you guys know that there's a marketing demographic that Facebook allows us to run ads to, and it's renting and first-time home buyers and renting. And there's a couple of other metrics we can use to target this exact specific audience. And the question is, do you think that you can put some ads together that you can get their attention with? I bet you could. So let's look at our next slide. We got a couple more things here. So millennials in Orange County are 30% of the market. Osceola County, they're 37% of the market. Polk County, a little bit less. Hillsborough, 28%. Miami, 26%. And 34% of the first-time home buyers are millennials. Okay, this is a huge demographic here, guys. In 2021, they are projected to be 51% of the workforce. Okay, that's half of the employed people are millennials, guys. And they account for half of the new homes sold across the country. A lot of these are national numbers here, okay? These are more local numbers. These are like other like national numbers here, okay? So they are accounting for half of the new homes. It's a big deal, guys. And when you consider all of the ways that you can get in front of them, this is on an Instagram post that I did. You can find that on my Instagram page if you want. How to sell the vision to these guys, right? You can sell it through Instagram ads, Facebook ads. On either of these platforms, we run ads for listings, for buyers. We can run ads on LinkedIn, branding ads, market updates on videos or blogs, YouTube channel, instructional videos, educational videos. You do blogging, vlogging, geofencing, if you guys know what that is. You could just do, these are just ideas for like videos and stuff. You can do a top 5 or top 10 list. start a podcast, LinkedIn articles. There's a million ideas, right? You can retarget an audience or your current database very easily in Facebook. We'll get to that in the next couple of weeks in the Facebook ads classes. Build your own drip campaigns in KV Core. Be first on a new platform like Dubsmash or Triller, right? Triller. So there's a million ways to get these ideas out in front of any of the buyers that are potential clients for us. So where to sell the vision? Instagram. They're all on Instagram, right? Here's our big millennial demo. These are not exactly the millennial ages, but it's pretty close to them, right? They're 33% of the people on Instagram. All these up and comers that are going to be entering into the job market and the first time home buyer market are coming as well. They're 29% of the market. So 50%, almost more than 50% of the people that are on Instagram are in this age. But we still have a decent demo here for 35 to 44s. They're on Instagram as well, right? So when they did a survey, I forget where I got this from, but 65% of buyers bought because simply of a desire to own a home. That was it. They just wanted to own a home, you know? And there's a lot of ways to sell this story, I think. I think there are a lot of very creative ways to sell the story of what we're talking about here. So, okay, we're almost at the end of this. Does anybody have any questions so far? I know we covered a couple of things here. I know I pivoted over here to marketing, but if we're going to talk about, all of the things that we're talking about, the question really is how can we take this information and then get leads from it? Because that's really the way that I think that this information becomes really valuable to you guys. That's why I do that Facebook ad seminar once a week, is because we want to talk about how easy or difficult is it to actually get in front of these folks. The truth is, it's not that hard and it's not that expensive. And if you want help creating some of these marketing materials, I'm more than happy to help you. I will come into your videos. We can do videos together if you want, where we can go over all these numbers all over again. So some of you guys may know, I do a morning video every morning. This is what you would see in your My Agent account. The videos are, 3 to 5 minutes at a time. I try to keep them short. I try to keep them informative. Everything in the mortgage world and updates in the marketing world, because I do the marketing for our team here. And when I come up with a better name for this video, I will rebrand the name. It's a lot of syllables, mortgage and marketing update for sure. But I didn't know what else to call it, and I had to call it something just to get started. So if you don't catch them, they are backed up on YouTube. I have a channel there. They are also sitting there on your My Agent page. I'm on Instagram. This is where you can find me on Instagram, mortgage_DeMarie. And I don't know. That's about it. Here's my info where you can find me. So this is my phone number. You can always text me. You can email me here. I built this website, lilydemarie.com, where I've got a bunch of resources there for you. If you want to have anybody apply online, it's uniononmortgage.com/LDemarie. If you're not on list reports with us, you definitely want to get on list reports. This is a free service to you guys, something we pay for, and it has got a ton of really good marketing materials. And, if you get a listing, it'll just email you a bunch of marketing materials. We can make them for other people's listings if you want to, if you want to promote another person's listing or do an open house somewhere at somebody else's house, we can build them for that as well. But it also has lead capture, automated text messages. It has a CRM. It's really, really good resources. And like I said, if you want to find out how to make, jazzy looking PowerPoints like this, I'm happy to help you with that as well, because, I got tired of looking at the ones that the corporate companies make. And Christina, I'm happy to add you. If you guys wouldn't mind just sending me an email with I need a few things for list reports. I need your headshot. I need your KV Core page. I need your Facebook page. And if you can send me that with all of your info, if you can email it to me, I'll reply to your email with some other marketing materials that I'll generate, and I'll get you into into those systems. I can send you the mortgage app as well. We got a mortgage app as well. Hang on, I'm going to slow down the recording here. If you guys are listening to this on a recorded version, all of those things are there for you as well. I'm happy to send you all of the same things as well.